All right, good morning, everybody, and good to be on with you on this fine day. Sorry for the delay in recognizing you there, but it's good to join you. It's beautiful outside this morning. Sun's shining, a little cool, but going to warm up nice. But hopefully this power up does find you well on this Tuesday, the May the 7th, and thank you for joining me. Now, as we get started here in just a moment, we're going to be in Daniel chapter number 7 once again. But I want to just say we had a wonderful time in church last night. Hopefully, you were able to be in church. If not, I would encourage you to be here tonight at 6 o'clock for as we continue our Faith, Family, and Culture Conference. And culture and faith are at odds with one another, pulling family in each direction there. Culture is going away from God, and the challenge is to keep ourselves and our families connected to the Lord and as we continue to live by faith. Now, we are in Daniel chapter number 7. We've looked at four kingdoms that are revealed to Daniel through this vision, through this dream. And let's just kind of look at those really quick. Once again, we had, first of all, as we've read through Daniel, the Babylonian kingdom. Nebuchadnezzar being the principal ruler of the Babylonian kingdom. And it was described in verse number 4 as a lion with great power, wings as eagles, and so on. So that being the Babylonian kingdom. The second kingdom mentioned is like unto a bear, and you might remember as we've walked through Daniel, that is represented by the Medo-Persian Empire, and they conquering the Babylonian Empire and ruling after that. We also note the third kingdom being that of represented by the leopard, and that being the Grecian kingdom as well there. And so they taking over after the Medo-Persian Empire. And then the final kingdom listed, here's the Roman kingdom, the Roman Empire. We note that the Roman Empire was around for quite some time, and it is described here as really being it says the fourth beast is dreadful in verse number 7, terrible, strong exceedingly, great iron teeth, and the like. And so the Roman Empire being rather ruthless and a horrible ruling kingdom. In fact, I mentioned yesterday, I want to clarify just a little bit, I mentioned yesterday that in the Roman rule there was 10 persecutions that took place during the Roman rule. These 10 persecutions were of the Christian. And I don't want to get these confused with the 10 horns that we read about here later on in this chapter. So I believe they're different, but there were 10 persecutions underneath this Roman rule, and they were horrible. And I just wanted to kind of share with you a little bit about these 10 persecutions here. This is in the past. And want to share these with you. We note that the first persecution was brought about by Nero. And Nero, he accused the Christians of starting the Great Fire of Rome. He executed Christians by dipping them in oil, impaling them, and using them as torches to light his garden. What a horrible persecution. The next persecution, followed by the next Roman emperor, was that of Domitian. And this is right about 96 AD, right before the turn of the century here. It's during this time, and you might remember, where John is exiled to the Isle of Patmos. And we know that also during this time that the Christians, in Rome there, they worshipped an underground in the catacombs, the tombs there, to escape persecution. And I just want to say this, even in today's world, there are Christians that are meeting in unsavory places just so they can worship the Lord and not forsake the assembling of themselves together. And just like these early church Christians, these first century Christians during the second persecution, hiding in the catacombs, which are just tombs, trying to avoid persecution. We know persecution number 3 was Trajan's persecution. and this jumped into the first century there to about 117 A.D. Ignatius, an early bishop of the Church of Antioch, was martyred during this time, and Christians were murdered. They were accused of criminal acts as they worshiped the Lord, and they were found guilty of worshiping the Lord and were accused of criminal acts. Of the worship of Jesus was a criminal act. We know the fourth persecution was Hadrian's persecution, and it is said that he set up statues and they made Christians worship them, similar to what has happened here in the book of Daniel. And Christians that refused to bow, refused to worship, were executed. We then have Marcus Aurelius' persecution. Now, this is mid to late 100s A.D. And it is Marcus Aurelius who blamed Christians and Christianity for all the bad that happened, all the natural disasters that happened, things such as big storms, famines, pestilence, and so on. And these Christians' dead bodies were fed to the animals. We also note the sixth persecution. This is in the 200s now, A.D. Septimius Severus, and he prohibited and put laws on individuals that they could not convert to Christianity. Those that would convert to Christianity were martyred then for their faith. And we see even an element of that in our world today, where there are those who who are killed for their faith. In fact, in recent years, people that have followed the Lord in believers' baptism, unfortunately, this commitment to Jesus Christ is met with staunch resistance. This commitment to Jesus Christ, is punishable by death even in today's world as well. In fact, some people, as they go under the water, there is a very real possibility that some people, as they're baptized, will not come out. In fact, they will be killed before they come up out of the water. And so we see this in the sixth persecution, but man, that even is happening today. And then our seventh persecution that we read about is approaching the early mid-century, second century there, where Maximus is the leader at this time. And he executed the leadership of the church at that time and accused Christians of supporting the assassination of government leadership there. And he made that accusation that allowed him to hunt Christians down and so on. In fact, here in America, we even see that a little bit. If you identify with a certain political party, and you speak out against government and so on, the government has begun to go after individuals for their political stances, and it's not very long before we see that that Christianity, religion, people will be persecuted for that. We see that to a certain extent here in America, even in regards to Christianity. The eighth persecution would be that of Decius, and he spread persecution throughout the entirety of the Roman Empire. Those that refused to worship the false gods of the Romans were executed for refusing to obey that law. And most of the Christianity and a lot of the Christians that died during this Roman persecution happened during this time, and very sad. The ninth, Valerian's persecution, he also executed church leadership, exiled them, took their houses, their lands, all of their possessions, and just persecuted in a very horrific way. And then lastly, Diocletian. And Diocletian's persecution, Christians were deprived of their rights. He forced Christian soldiers to forsake their faith, and if they did not, executed them, destroyed church buildings, destroyed copies of the Bible, banned worship, and so on. And it's in these, and this is early 300s, and it's in these persecutions that we find the Christians being fed to lions, and in the arenas they're being persecuted for their faith. And so as we consider the ruthlessness and brutalness of the Roman Empire that's kind of mentioned in verse number 7, we see that ruthlessness and brutalness involved in the persecution of the church, okay? And so that is a part of this fourth terrible kingdom, would be the Roman kingdom. Now, let's look at verse number 8. We're going to try to walk through maybe verse number 14, get into more of the interpretation of things maybe tomorrow. But let's look at verse number 8, where it says here that I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. This little horn being the Antichrist, who had to overcome these 3 little horns. The first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So we've studied really kind of the Antichrist and his role during the end times, following the rapture to the tribulation and so on, in the book of Revelation. Now we know that this Antichrist, here he has the eyes of man and a mouth speaking great things. It's this Antichrist that is able to bring about a peace treaty with Israel and Jerusalem, and he is a master of words, a master of convincingness in his speech, and he's able to do such things. He's able to win the world to his side. And so we continue in verse number 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. That Ancient of Days, we know, is the Lord, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. We know that till all the thrones were cast down, Jesus came and overthrew the government of the world, and had victory over the armies of the world, sets up his kingdom on the world. You look at verse number 10. A fiery stream issued and came forth from him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. And I beheld them because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. We read about the beast being destroyed in Revelation and so on. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. And so we know that these kingdoms will have an end, okay? And this one horn, this Antichrist who rises up above at the end of time, he will have an end as well. In verse number 13, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And so who is it that comes with the cloud of heaven? That is Jesus Christ. And here we read, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. Now look at this. Who is this? Jesus Christ. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, in his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. And we know that Jesus will set up his kingdom upon this earth. He will reign for 1,000 years. He will let Satan be loosed from the bottomless pit after 1,000 years. Satan will try once again to thwart the Lord, try to fight back against Jesus. He will be unsuccessful. and we know that Jesus' kingdom will have no end, okay? And then verse number 15 will kind of get you this, and then we'll let you go for the day. It says, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body. The visions of my head troubled me. And so he's had these visions. He's had this dream. Now it's, hey, what does all of this mean? These four beasts, all right, what does this mean? Hey, this beast that rises up out of the 10 horns, who is that? What does that entail? He is... has this conflict with 3 horns and overcomes and all that. So he's troubled. Hey, what does this mean? And we're going to read about this and talk about this a little bit tomorrow. We'll look at the kingdoms and so on, and excited to do that tomorrow. And so, sorry we took a little bit longer on the Roman Empire there, but just wanted to just kind of give you just scratch the surface really on the 10 persecutions that the Roman Empire brought about. We also note that the Roman Empire was in charge when Jesus was crucified as well. I will say this, hey, don't fear the future, what is to come. Remain faithful to the Lord, be willing to stand, knowing that God is in control, knowing that Jesus will return, Jesus will rule and reign, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. And so let's just remain faithful today in the here and now, knowing that, hey, Jesus is returning and he will rule and reign. No matter what happens in our world, our country, in regards to maybe the leadership, in regards to maybe the persecution of believers, let's continue to be faithful, be willing to stand. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on today. Let's greet those that have commented live here. Cliff and Karen, good morning to you both. Ingrid, good morning to you. Love you. Have a great day. David and Claudia, good morning to you both as well. Brian and Cindy, good morning to you guys. Have a great day. Hello, Archer as well. Dennis and Geraldine, good morning to you. Charlie and Marcia, good morning to you guys. Have an awesome day. And Ruth, good morning to you. Want to remind you, we'll continue our conference tonight, our Faith, Family, and Culture Conference tonight at 6 o'clock. So be sure and be here. Sorry about last night's live stream. We had a little bit of trouble getting it going, so you got a good chunk of the message, and we're so thankful for that. Be sure and be in your place tonight. We'd love to have you in church this evening for this conference. All right, Lord bless you all. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll touch base with you again tomorrow morning. Would ask you to pray for me. My mom and my daughter Aaliyah are flying back into Detroit. They are on the plane already, and I'm going to be heading out soon to pick them up. And Lord willing, traffic will be good, vehicle will run good, and we'll be back in plenty of time for the service tonight, but it might get a little tight there, but our goal is to be back for that, okay? Lord bless you all. Have a great day. Lord willing, we'll see you tonight.